as a musician, evolution's kind of natural, whether you want it or not. You're gonna eventually branch out into other things.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey, my name is Wes, and I play bass and do vocals in Left Cross.
Wes, how would you describe the music of Left Cross? What kind of music would you say you make?
I think we are a death metal band.
Death metal full stop? No modifiers?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think we would really fit description of like blackened death metal or grindcore. I think we're just straight up death metal.
Do you feel like you belong to any particular era of death metal?
I guess the one we're in right now. I think just like everybody else, we're, influenced by, the greats, the old school stuff, but I wouldn't really know what to say as far as like what era we belong to.
So you're not consciously trying to emulate, like, let's say like the late 90s or anything like that?
Not necessarily. I think there are bands that we're trying to emulate, but I wouldn't say it would be a certain scene. Like I don't think we're trying to sound like the UK scene, like Bolt Thrower or Benediction, but like some of those bands we do draw influence from.
Right. And I mean, consciously or not, would you say that the similarities are there between you guys and somebody like Bolt Thrower?
I would, yeah, maybe less these days. I think that the latest record is probably more like Immolation and Demoncy, Deicide, bands that are kind of like darker, not as like brutal, but just have like a darker sound.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the band? How you guys came together?
Yeah, so I can't remember the exact year. It's probably somewhere around 2015, but we had all known each other from like just going to shows and hanging out and seeing bands. And I think that I was probably the one to get everybody in the same room together, but it was just like, hey, do you guys want to start a death metal band? Let's jam around. And we've had some lineup changes since then, but kind of the core of the group stayed. And yeah, we just kind of progressed as that went along, like our sound, getting more evolved and everything.
So you formed specifically to play death metal?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like, hey, like let's get around and see what comes out. It was like, yeah, let's, like we all like Morbid Angel, Immolation, Archgoat, shit like that. And it was like, let's like write in that style. It wasn't necessarily like, let's see what happens. It was pretty much like death metal.
Did you know the guys in the band beforehand?
Yeah, we had all kind of just, hung out at shows, like local shows. I had seen some of their bands, like old bands. They had seen some of mine, old bands. Some of us we had been in old bands together with. So we were all pretty familiar with each other.
I mean, when you guys first started playing together, was it very natural?
Yeah, I guess I'd say so. It wasn't like forced or anything. It was, I guess, because we kind of had like an idea of what we wanted to do, even though the really early material is much different than what we do now. Well, maybe not much different, but different from what we do now. It was pretty effortless. Like we all kind of knew what we were going for, and we all have like really good chemistry as friends, even before we, were in a band together. So
you guys released a number of EPs before you put out your first full length. Why the EPs? Why not just jump straight into an album?
I never really thought about that. The first demo we did was just like, well, we want to play shows, so we have to have something to play. So that was that. And then I guess the second one, well, really all the way up until the first LP, it was just kind of like, I don't know, we have a couple new songs, let's just record it. I guess. Yeah, I guess I really don't know. Maybe we just didn't really have like an end goal in mind. It was just like, oh, like these songs are sick, let's get them recorded, and so we can, put them on a tape or at 7-inch or something like that. But it did take us, I guess, kind of a long time to finally write a record. And then from that one to this one, also a pretty long time.
What's your writing process like?
So we kind of just jam. I know that might sound weird, but generally someone will kind of come to practice with like a riff or an idea or a couple of riffs, or even like a drum beat. We've written, starting songs around just drum beats, and we like write a riff to fit it. And then we just kind of jam out. People will just kind of have like an idea to throw, like, oh, maybe that'll work, maybe it doesn't. If it does, we keep it. And then we just kind of do that until we feel the song's finished. And then, I mean, even then sometimes we'll go back and be like, yeah, that's not as great as we thought it was. Let's kind of, mess with this middle part or make the ending better or something like that. So it's kind of like loose. Like I don't think anyone's ever come to practice like with a full song. It's kind of more like, hey, I have this idea, these riffs, like, what do you guys think? What do you want to add to it?
Sure. You mentioned that it took you a while to get the material for that first album together. With this process that you just described, is it a lot of give and take? Is it a lot of like trial and error before you're happy with the song?
Sometimes it just like whatever happens, in that first time it gets brought up ends up being kind of it. Sometimes it takes us like a few weeks, a few practices to kind of, really get the idea together. But I guess it just kind of varies with song, like sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's just like, oh, well, that just works when in an hour we have a song. sometimes it's like, nothing's really happening right now. Let's, come back to this later.
You described the way that your sound has evolved since the early EPs. Is there a feeling that you're searching for with these riffs? I mean, or is it pretty open as far as like what you guys feel you can do within the scope of Left Cross?
It's a good question. I would say, I don't know. I don't know that the riffs have changed so much, but sort of like the approach, maybe. So like in a lot of the early stuff, like the first couple tapes or whatever that we did, there really wasn't a lot of like blasting. It was really just like really fast, kind of D beat, like this close kind of drumming. And then that kind of, it led to the first record that we did. And I think we kind of got, I don't know if bored's the right word, but just kind of we kind of did what we wanted to do with that. And it's like, all right, like, let's like, put some blast beats and go fast, like, and that kind of obviously, it might even sound weird to be like, oh, death metal without blast beats, but I think that opened up just like a whole nother, possibility of what we could do. But I don't think the riffing's changed too much as far as like the kind of, like darker side, like the melodies and stuff like that. I think that's probably always been there. It's maybe more prominent with the newer stuff, but yeah, I think that the biggest change has probably been just like the attitude. Like, okay, well, like, let's, make it go faster,
Was it a conscious decision to include more immolation kind of stuff? Or were you guys just looking to get more fast?
I think it was, I think it was a conscious decision to start adding more like dynamics. I don't know about any sort of specific way. It was just kind of more like, okay, well, like, we already kind of did the like really fast D beat style, but that it's fast, but it's not as fast as like a blast or, like a more like repulsion-y part or something like that. So I think it was conscious actually, but it wasn't something where everyone was like sat down and like, all right, band meeting, let's, do XYZ. It was kind of just like, yo, I want to do this. And they was like, yeah, sweet, do that.
So it sounds like the four of you have to be in a room together before you start writing.
To finish something, yeah. I mean, I think like most of the time one of us will, like come up to practice with something in mind, or like, like a riff or something like that. Or like I said earlier, like a drum beat or just like a part, like, hey, like this part of this song or something like that. So yeah, definitely to finish something, I mean, I guess, in a way, like if we leave practice with an unfinished song, like someone will take a phone recording or something, and then, we're all kind of stewing on it, like alone by ourselves, but, still thinking of stuff to kind of to do once we get back into the practice space. So I think to finish a song, yeah, we got to be there.
Do you guys do any sort of file trading or anything like that?
No, we get as high tech as like iPhone memos. We don't. Sometimes, I guess we'll do like a video or something, but we don't use any like software to send. It's normally just like, hey, I wrote this riff, take a video of me playing it or something like that, send it. Like, what do you think? Be like, yeah, that's cool. But normally those, said iPhone recordings are from, the actual rehearsal spot. Normally we'll just go to practice. All of us will go to practice when we have something to show and show it to everybody just there.
Is there a particular reason you like to do it in person or at the rehearsal space?
I don't know. I guess it's just kind of what we've always done. And it's just kind of always worked for us. To be completely honest, until you said that, I've never considered doing it another way. So maybe we'll try that now.
second Left Cross album is called Upon Desecrated Altars, and it will be coming out through Profound Lore Records on November 10th. Wes, can you tell me a little bit about this album and what your thoughts were when you started working on it?
Yeah. So after the last tape we did, so between the first record we did and this one, there were two tapes that came out. One was just like a proper EP, and then one was a promo for a really short tour we did with Cerebral Rot. And we just kind of knew we wanted to write another record, and we were like, all right, let's do this. And so that was sort of like the catalyst, was everyone be like, yeah, like it's time that we actually put something, full length material out. So after that kind of decision was like made and agreed upon, we just kind of got to work on it. And I think we wrote the better part of it in about a year. I think we started on it before that promo tape came out. And yes, I don't know if that completely answers the question.
Sure. I mean, we spoke a little bit about the other influences that are seeping into your sound and the way your sound has evolved. Coming off of that promo tape, was it a conscious decision to, I don't know if you want to use the word evolve or progress, but was it a conscious decision to move your sound forward?
Yeah. I think throughout the course of writing it, yeah. I don't think at the onset it was like, oh, let's do, but all this different stuff. But when, the record's out and people hear it, I do think they will hear, like, I don't know if the experimentation is the right word, but just like kind of stuff we've never done before. And I think that just kind of happened as we were writing it. I think, just like the excitement of writing a new record, you're like, oh, let's do something new,
Yeah. When did you realize that the material was shaping up the way it did?
You mean like the way it sounds?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess while we were writing it, I don't know if that's the best answer, but I guess like, kind of like as a musician, evolution's kind of natural, whether you want it or not. You're gonna eventually branch out into other things. So I think it just kind of happened just kind of effortlessly. I don't think there was this like, there was never a conversation like that's to like the old stuff or something. Let's push it into this like realm of, again, experimentation. It was more just like, let's write the best music we can write right now. And then, the rest, get it out.
And to be fair, it's not like you guys are using electronic beats or anything like that. Like it's still pretty much rooted in the sound that you guys started off with, just more evolved, maybe a little bit more technical. Definitely, I think more intense in some places.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially the intensity and the technicality of it. We were trying to push like what we can play, like as far as like, well, I wouldn't say what we could play, but what we do play. And yeah, there was definitely, I think just a unspoken attitude, mood of like, let's get a little more crazy, a little more intense with the songwriting as well too.
Where did you end up recording the album?
We recorded it at Viva Studios, which is about an hour and a half north of where we are. It was a really great experience. I think we recorded it in a weekend. I think it was only really 2 days of actual recording, maybe 2.5. But yeah, we just got it done in a weekend. Everything except the vocals. Yeah, the guy that we recorded with is great. I'd recommend that studio to anybody. It was a great experience.
Do you want to say anything about Matthew Mitchell, who you recorded with?
Yeah, he's great. We didn't really know him super well, really at all, before we had decided to record there. But we heard a demo that he did by a band called Deliriant Nerve, and we were like, whoa, this sounds really cool. And up until then, we had actually recorded everything in the band's history with just one guy. And he wasn't really available. So we hit up Matt and was like, hey, would you be down? He said, yeah. And he was just absolutely great. Like he allowed us to kind of try out things, but he always kind of seemed to know exactly what we were going for, if that makes sense. Like it was just super, just, I don't know, just a great experience. Nice guy too.
You mentioned you recorded in in about 2 days. Did you guys track together?
No, it was drums, bass, guitar.
So you guys just record really fast.
Yeah.
It sounds like there weren't a lot of takes.
Maybe in some parts, but no, I mean, I think we've always recorded fast. I think we're kind of guilty of, you know, being like, let's book 4 days, and then we're, I think, always like, we can do it in two. And maybe that's not the greatest way to go about things, but that's just kind of always how we've been.
It also sounds like you guys were probably well rehearsed going into the studio.
Yeah, we had played all but two of the songs live a few times before we actually got there. The first and last track of the record were written like a week or two before we recorded it, but the rest of it we were like super well versed on.
Do you want to say anything about the first song?
As in like music, lyrics?
Either. I mean, it's like an ambient track. It's like an intro to the rest of the album.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, when I say first song, I meant the first actual song.
Right.
The intro was done probably like a few months before we got in the studio. But if anyone's interested, it is a Crusader song, so it's in Latin. Something that I found just kind of like browsing around, and then our guitarist Dylan kind of created all the sounds and stuff that go around it. So that's what that is.
Okay. Why did you want to start the album with that?
Well, we had never really done an intro to anything we recorded that I can remember at this moment. But yeah, it kind of goes in with like the theme of the record, which is like kind of like a satanic crusade, like, hell's armies, marching on, whatever. It's kind of what the art was supposed to be about. It's kind of just like a made up scenario in my head, but that's the specific reason the intro is the way it is to kind of set the mood for like that kind of mental picture. So yeah.
You work on the themes and the lyrics by yourself? Or does everyone?
I do. Yeah, they're somehow comfortable with me doing all of that, and I haven't gotten too many complaints yet, so.
Can you tell me about the guys who mixed and mastered the album?
Yeah, Arthur Rizek mixed it, and then Dan, I'm really sorry for butchering your last name, mastered it, and both was just awesome. There were like minimal edits that we sent back. The mix that we got originally ended up more or less being, what we went with, and then the same is kind of true with the master. Those guys are both just awesome at what they do, and it was great. They both rule. They were super easy to get along with and talk to, and just kind of talk stuff out.
Both Arthur and Dan Lowndes have come up on this podcast a lot in the past few months. Why those two?
So Arthur, they were both sort of recommended to us by Profound Lore, but we were really happy about that because we obviously both knew them already as far as like what like their bands and their what they do. So we didn't really have anybody in mind for mixing and mastering it originally, and then that kind of came up as an option both ways, and we were like, yeah, that would be great. So that's sort of why that all ended up happening.
What would you say they brought to the sound?
I guess in both respects, I think that they heard what we were going for and kind of turned it up to 11 and got like just this incredible, full, just crazy, dark, evil sound. Like, I don't know, we're all over the moon about how everything sounds. So I think they, obviously brought their expertise, but also I think they were just kind of, maybe knew what we were going for and just kind of, applied their knowledge to get the best sound out of that.
So when this podcast airs, you guys will be embarking on a short tour. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, we're really excited. It's going to be just an East Coast thing for right now for this tour. But yeah, it's with Witch Vomit, who we're all big fans of. And we're really excited to do it. It's been a long time since we've done like a, more, even though it is a short tour, it's been a long time since we've gotten to, go back to, DC or Baltimore or New York or anything. So, well, actually Baltimore's not on this tour, but, still stands. So yeah, we're really, really excited about it. And we're excited to just kind of play the new stuff, in the context of having the record out as well. And yeah, we're also really stoked to watch Witch Vomit every night. So
yeah, that's a great band.
Yeah, we're really excited that they're on it with us. We asked them if they, would be interested, and they said yeah, and just kind of, went from there.
So by the time people hear this episode, Upon Desecrated Altars will be out through Profound Lore Records. Wes, tell people how they can order the album.
So you can order it through Profound Lore's Records website, and through there, I believe there will be links to Euro distribution as well. Though I'm not sure what that is at the moment, but Profound Lore is your go-to for the record.
Do you want to say anything about the vinyl versions that the label is putting out?
Yeah, there's 2 different splatter variations, and they're both incredibly cool. They both play off the colors of the cover itself, which we're all super stoked on. They look awesome. So if you get a chance, get the splatters.
And will you guys have those with you while you're on tour?
We will. Yeah, we will have copies of both, and then just the regular vinyl.
And if people want to follow Left Cross online, what's the best way to do that?
Best way is probably our Instagram, Bandcamp. We have Facebook, and we'll be periodically uploading merch to our big cartel, which is under the name Terror Assault. So those would be the best ways to check out what we're doing. And
Terror Assault is a shared page for both Left Cross and Anti-Siege.
Yep.
Antichrist Siege Machine, right?
Yeah.
Your drummer's other band?
Yeah. We both upload stuff onto that sort of shared platform.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, thank you for the interview. It's been great, and catch y'all on the road.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.